Welcome to the Zone. With the recent announcement of Stalker 2's delay until December, I've had a number of people ask me to do a video regarding what I think the game will be like. People have asked me if I think it'll be good, what sorts of things we should expect and be wary of, and how I generally feel about what I've seen thus far. So assuming that unspecified events on the political world stage don't interfere with the continuing development of Stalker 2, here are a few thoughts that I've managed to squeeze out. If you enjoy my autistic ramblings, you can always support my work on Patreon, or by purchasing a shirt from the merch store. Without further ado, let's dive in. If you have followed the development of Stalker 2 for very long, you will have noticed that a short while ago, GSC was engaging in some practices that put them under a little bit of fire. The proposed addition of NFTs to the game was something that rubbed many people the wrong way, including myself when I first heard about it. What was nice, however, was that the development team seemed to react to the outcry from fans, worrying about pay-to-win features and the concept of NFTs themselves in video games. They released a short message regarding what these NFTs will cover and what the customers can expect. Regardless of how you feel about NFTs, it's nice that they at least reacted to the dissatisfaction that fans made known. There are still going to be NFTs and other benefits for pre-orders though, but these will be cosmetic in nature, which I think is largely fine. But I've never been one for pre-ordering games, regardless of the benefits that come with them, and I'll tell you why. I first want to get it out there that in 2022, getting excited about video games and anticipating their release while biting your nails is a bad idea. While it's not a recent example anymore, I and a few of my friends were early backers of Star Citizen. I learned years ago that it's never a good idea to count your chickens before they hatch. While I'm not making a direct comparison between RSI and GSC, I will say that I am quite jaded when it comes to video game development. A more recent and popular example would be the release of Cyberpunk, a game which was promoted for years and lauded by journalists for its cutting-edge gameplay and story, only for it to be released in a broken and unplayable state. I was not one of the people who looked forward and pre-ordered Cyberpunk, but I can understand why someone would be frustrated with a broken shitstorm instead of an immersive gaming experience, especially for the price point they were asking. A game that I did buy early, and still play to this day, is DayZ, which some of you will know has had a very long and drawn-out development process. I would go as far as saying that DayZ was basically unplayable until a few years ago, and was only made playable by a slew of never-ending patches. The thing that made me so hopeful about Stalker, however, is the fact that they are willing to, and had the courtesy to, delay their release. What this shows me is that they value quality over a deadline, and while it's never a good thing to miss a release date, I and many other people would much rather have something that is complete and polished over something that had an early release date that required months and months of patches to be even playable. While it may seem pessimistic to expect a title to be bad, the gaming industry as a whole has contributed to this attitude. The push for bleeding-edge graphics over an actual story of substance or increasing and fun gameplay has ruined my expectations forever. It has come to the point where I don't purchase many games anymore, if at all. It's true that you can't really fix a bad story, but what you can sure as hell fix is mechanical problems, and it seems to be the case that they are doing this. While we can't really speculate on the story of Stalker 2 and if it'll be good or not, we can at least have a reasonable hope that the gameplay and mechanics will be what we expect them to be. I believe that they are telling the truth, and they do want to deliver the best game that they can. And I'm sure that they know the caliber of game that people expect as a follow-up to a cult classic series like Stalker. Even though I fully believe that they are going to do all they can to create the best game that they can possibly put out, you must always still have a little bit of detachment. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and all that. While it is possible that Stalker 2 could be a perfectly operational game right out of the box, no bugs, no issues, and no pain points, this still doesn't ensure that the game itself will be good. Well, maybe I shouldn't say good, but rather, it doesn't ensure that the game will be the Stalker that we know and love. Obviously, over a decade later, a game from the same development team is certainly going to look different. New technologies and new trends will create something that will look completely different. Look at Halo Combat Evolved and compare it with a newer Halo game. They're so different in gameplay and aesthetics that they barely even look like the same game franchise. This is not a bad thing, as I said before. Technology changes and advances, causing new elements of game design to become possible. Mechanics and graphics that developers could only dream about 10 years ago are now realities and staples of the industry. While Stalker 2 will most likely be a great game in its own right, there are a few things that do trouble me about its design. First and foremost, open world games have become the standard. While open world design was revolutionary just a few years ago, and it can work wonders with certain titles, Stalker I don't think is one of them. I am fully willing to be proven wrong, but open world mechanics usually include some form of fast travel, which could really change the overall feeling of Stalker. While there are mods that do this already for Stalker, such as Stalker Anomaly and others, it's not something that would necessarily be new to the Stalker experience, but it would fundamentally change the horror aspects of Stalker. Traversing the alien landscape of the zone is what makes Stalker so special. Simply traveling from one region to the next is deadly enough, not to mention any missions that you might have to do along the way. We can look at other games that have moved to an open world setting for their newer titles, eschewing the older, more level-based design of the previous entries into the series. Metal Gear Solid 5 would be a perfect example of this. I love Metal Gear Solid. I love Metal Gear Solid 4. I love them all. But the open world nature of the game for Metal Gear Solid 5 really put me off. I can't lie and say that I was excited to play Metal Gear Solid 5 after a friend recommended it to me. And while I did have a lot of fun with the game, I was soon very bored of it. I found myself trying to move as quickly as I could through the world, hoping to get to a cutscene or a boss fight. The gameplay in most open world titles gets boring very quick, and it feels very repetitive to me. While Stalker might not be the same, and you can't judge every game simply based on open world settings, I'm usually leery of it. This isn't to say that there are no open world games that are good, it's just that I don't get much enjoyment out of them. If you happen to enjoy them, then hey, that's great, and to each their own. Now some of you might be thinking, hey, if you hate open world stuff, then your fast travel's perfect because it allows you to skip all the shit you hate. And while that's correct in a sense, it still doesn't negate the fact that open world settings generally require you to go through the world at least once. Even though the open world concept is years old at this point, it's still a selling point that developers seem to always mention. I remember getting Dragon Age Inquisition, thinking that this would be a great game. And it wasn't really bad, it just didn't feel like Dragon Age. Comparing my memories of Dragon Age Origins, one of my all-time favorite games, I compare Inquisition to it and it simply feels like a different franchise. It doesn't feel like it's made by the same people. And I worry that this will be the case for Stalker 2. A game that has such a fond place in my heart like Stalker is going to be hard to follow up, especially after all this time and with all the changes that have happened in the gaming industry. As I've said before, and I cannot say enough, I fully believe that Stalker 2 will be a great game. The question for myself and others my age, though, is will it be the same game that we've wanted for so long? Can a sequel to a game like Stalker really be followed up by anything and be universally liked by the fan base? I'm gonna say no on this one. There will be those who are expecting another Stalker game, full of the same things, full of the same mechanics, the levels, the enemies. Any large changes to gameplay might really rub people the wrong way. Hell, some of the changes might rub me the wrong way, but that's fine. I realize that I have nostalgia glasses on. Am I ever going to feel the same way when I saw my first snork jump out at me? No, I'm probably not. Am I ever going to throw my keyboard across the room as I accidentally step into that same damn vortex for the 9th time in a row? No, I probably won't. The point I'm trying to make is that while I would love to feel these things again, and I would love to have that same experience that Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl gave me, Stalker 2 probably will not do that. Stalker 2 has been developed over a decade later. Design philosophy has changed, marketing strategies have changed, and I will also say that we have changed as well. There's nothing wrong with change. It simply is. You have to accept it and move on. The only other solution is to simply scream about how much you hate it. And while you can do that, and I very well may, it doesn't really change anything. I will most certainly purchase Stalker 2 when it comes out. I will play it, I'll probably have a great time with it, and hell, I might even love it. But like Mountain Blade Bannerlord, I have a feeling that the Stalker fan base will never stop playing the original Stalker games and the mods for them. These will continue to exist, and there will be fans playing these classics for years to come. Because we love them, and we go to familiar places, we fight enemies that we know and love, and we create our own stories as we go. Stalker 2 might be a game that is the perfect follow-up to the series. It could be completely exceeding all of my expectations. I may put thousands of hours into Stalker 2. But the fact of the matter is, I will always come back to Shadow of Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat, and play them again and again. And I assume that many of you will do this as well. Even if Stalker 2 somehow managed to do the unthinkable, and to have a better story, better mechanics, better everything than the original Stalker series, I still will go back and play Shadow of Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat, and even Clear Sky, yes. And regardless of how Stalker 2 does happen to turn out, we will always have the original Stalker series and the amazing collection of mods that have come out for those games. Even if you hated Stalker 2 and it turned out to be a massive dumpster fire, we still have the Stalker we know and love, and no one can take that away from us. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks to my supporters on Patreon for helping me make this video possible. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe for more Stalker-related content. Until next time, I'll see you in the zone.